Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to the Southeast Learning Festival. My name is Aisling O'Toole, and I am the WIT project lead for the National Recognition of Prior Learning in Higher Education project. I'm just going to give a brief overview of our session this morning. If you give me one moment, I will just share my screen. So our session this morning is entitled Pathways to Qualifications. I will be presenting with my colleague Claire Walsh from IT Carlow. So there's a brief introduction now. This will be followed by an overview of what recognition of prior learning is, which will be done by my colleague Claire. We'll then hear from Grace Edge, who is the project manager for the National RPL project. We'll return to Claire then for an overview of some of the benefits of RPL. Following this, you'll hear from myself and Lorraine Brogan, who is a current student in WIT and a graduate of IT Carlow. And she gives us a little bit of background on her journey in education and the impact that RPL has had on her learning. And we will return to Claire then, who's going to give us an overview of some of the processes around RPL, which will, I suppose, expand on some of the information given by Lorraine during her discussion around some of the processes that you might experience or go through if you're applying for RPL. And finally, at the end, then Claire and I will be available for a live Q&A in the chat if you have any questions, comments, or feedback that you'd like to give us. Okay, thank you.
Hello and welcome to this brief session on Introduction to Recognition of Prior Learning. My name is Claire Walsh. I'm the Recognition of Prior Learning project lead at the Institute of Technology, Carlow. This brief session is really to help us understand what is RPL. And we'll do this by offering a definition and explaining that definition. So, defined like this, RPL is described as the recognition of a learner's prior achievement of learning outcomes, whether by means of formal, non-formal, or informal learning. In Ireland, validation of non-formal and informal learning is referred to as recognition of prior learning. It encompasses all forms of prior learning and is provided in the context of specified destination awards from level 1 to 10 on the National Framework of Qualifications based on learning outcomes. RPL provides access to formal education and can be used for the award of credit to gain exemptions within a programme and support access to the labour market. So in trying to understand this definition, let's break down some of these key terms. So when we talk about learning outcomes, really what we're talking about is statements that describe the knowledge or skills students should acquire by the end of a particular class or course or programme. When we talk about formal, non-formal or informal learning, in essence, what we are describing are three different things. So formal learning is described as taking place through programmes of study or training, where we have a module or a programme that is placed in the National Qualifications framework and has credit attached to it. Examples of this include modules and programs that are delivered through further education or higher education, for example. When we look at non-formal learning, it's considered to be learning that takes place alongside mainstream systems of education and training. It may be assessed, but does not normally lead to formal certification. Examples of non-formal learning is the learning and training activities that might be undertaken in a workplace, for example. And then finally, informal learning is the learning that takes place through life and work experience. And sometimes this is referred to as experiential learning. Often it is learning that is unintentional, and the learner may not recognize at the time of the experience that it has contributed to his or her knowledge, skills, and competencies. These skills, competencies, and knowledge acquired through day-to-day unplanned and unstructured activities. For example, it could be working, maybe some volunteer activities or day-to-day activities. So that's an overall definition of the recognition of prior learning. So what is the outcome of participating in recognition of prior learning? So recognition of prior learning is deemed to be a route whereby an individual may gain any of the following. So for example, you may gain using RPL as access to a program if standard entry requirements are not met. Recognition of prior learning can also be used for advanced academic standing for entry to a program beyond year one. It's also a route whereby maybe exemptions or credit for a module or a number of modules may occur, or in some cases, perhaps a full academic award may be given. So this session has really just to help define recognition of prior learning and given us some outcomes that occur when we participate in recognition of prior learning. Thank you.
Recognition of prior learning, or RPL, values all types of learning regardless of where it happens. So that might be learning that happens in the workplace, or learning that happens in formal education settings, or just the learning that we acquire every day in our lives just through our lived experience. The fundamental principle with RPL is that someone shouldn't be asked to relearn something they already know.
UCD is delighted to be part of this sectoral project to build a consistent and coherent approach to the recognition of prior learning across the higher education sector. As part of our commitment under the UCD Rising to the Future strategy, our goal is to firmly embed RPL into the culture of UCD.
Individuals can expect to have many roles throughout their careers, gaining valuable skills, competencies and experience. But we also have a significant proportion of the workforce without any formal qualification. Recognition of prior learning gives these people an opportunity to formalise that. We're going through major disruption across multiple different industries at the moment, and we're going to need kind of more skills all the time.
Recognition of prior learning is a really important part of the Irish higher education system. This has been recognised by a number of different strategies: the Strategy for Higher Education to 2030, the National Skills Strategy, and it's included in the Programme for Government, Our Shared Future.
I've just finished studying a Masters in Design Innovation at Maynooth. I was taking on a new job in work in Irish Life, and I was looking for education to support me on that. I also thought it would be useful for me to have a formal third level qualification to give me options later in my working career. If I could give advice to somebody looking into RPL or higher education, I'd say believe in yourself, don't underestimate the value of your experience, and go for it.
RPL is critical to the development of an accessible and flexible higher education system, and it's a key enabler for lifelong learning and skills development. 21st century learners nowadays need multiple participations in higher education, and RPL can be that bridging mechanism, that tool that can help them move seamlessly between their busy lives, their careers, and higher education programmes that fit their needs.
Hello and welcome to this session on recognition of prior learning. My name is Claire Walsh and I am the RPL project lead at the Institute of Technology, Carlow. This session will briefly outline key benefits of RPL to different categories, so including candidates, employers, society, and also to providers and awarding bodies. So firstly, let's look at candidates. There are a number of documented benefits of RPL to individual candidates. Those benefits can range from increased self-esteem and confidence, and this is due to having skills recognised and certified. There is also the opportunity for improved job opportunities and also greater job security, as well as increased earning potential. And then RPL is often recognised as the start of lifelong learning because many RPL candidates express an interest in studying further once they've achieved success through an RPL process. Then, in relation to employers, there are many benefits of RPL for employers and organisations. And this can extend from improved documentation of staff skills and competencies, for example, which can lead to better matching of employees to tasks. There's also improved identification of training needs, as well as savings on training costs. When we look at society, then, there are a number of documented benefits for society of RPL. And what we can see are aspects such as greater inclusion, greater social inclusion, because RPL can enhance the capacity of societies to empower different groups. There's also increased employability of the population, which can lead to a healthier labour market where employers can grow because skilled labour is available to fill vacancies. Also, with more people employed in the formal sector, there are more people paying taxes and contributing to society. Another benefit is a reduction in qualification shortages, allowing the economy to also grow. And then there's increased labour mobility, which again offers opportunities to citizens of the state. And finally, there is the potential for transformation where RPL is a means to assist people who were previously unable to complete their studies with an opportunity to earn full or partial qualifications without returning to school. So the benefits for providers and awarding bodies is allowing them to meet policy and regulatory needs. In summary then, most of the benefits of RPL are perceived benefits. In general, policies highlight the role of RPL really in ultimately creating job opportunities and improving employability and labour market mobility. Thank you for engaging in this session.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Aisling O'Toole, and I'm the WIT lead on the Recognition of Prior Learning project. And I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Lorraine Brogan, who's a current WIT student and a graduate of IT Carlow, who's going to share with us this morning a little bit about her journey in education and how RPL played a part in that. So I'll pass over to you, Lorraine. Thanks so much for giving us your time this morning as part of the Southeast Learning Festival.
Oh, no problem, Aisling. I'm delighted to be here and discuss with everybody how I got onto, I suppose I'm on a level 9 course now and I'm delighted to be on it. So back in 2018, there was a program being run within my workplace. They were calling it an RPL program and I wasn't too sure what it was. And I was asked would I be involved and I was happy to try anything. So I went to the Education Training Board in Limerick and I met a lovely woman there, Donna. She was the guidance counsellor and I done a recognition of prior learning. It was based on kind of work experience. It was an informal RPL and I received 3 awards. And that I got communication, word processing and work experience. Now, prior to doing that, I had returned to college on 2 occasions. I had 2 level 5s, I had receptionist studies and I had payroll, but I just never continued on with that. When I met Donna, I was doing the RPL program with her and, you know, she was very encouraging. And I think sometimes as an adult, we lose that encouragement. You know, when you're growing up and your parents are telling you, you know, you're wonderful. And I think when I became an adult, you lose that. Mm. And Donna was telling me, you know, you can do more than this, or you could, you know, would you not think about doing a springboard course or whatever? And I suppose she lit a kind of a fire in me. And I was thinking maybe I can do a springboard course. So she helped me with springboards and application, found a course for me in University of Limerick and it was a level 6 course on management and I done that course and I was delighted that I passed it and I contacted Donna again in the ETB and I was like, oh, I passed the course. So again, words of wisdom and mass encouragement to go on and do a level 7 somewhere. So I did and I went to Carlow IT in 2020, 2021. And I done a level 7 diploma in effective management and leadership practice. I suppose I gave everything I had to it, and I passed that course with a distinction. And I was just really, really proud of myself. That, you know, I had got a 1-1, and I couldn't believe it, that I was even capable of it. And I wanted to do a level 8 degree. And when the Springboard courses came out, they just didn't have anything that I was interested in, but they had a level 9 in Waterford in MBSI. And I just felt like this is right up my street now. I'm really into this. So I downloaded the RPL paper and had to look at it. I had to look at it actually before I met you, Aisling, this morning, and it was 2,200 words I wrote.
Okay.
I wrote about, I suppose, previous courses that I had done. So in between, while I was doing the college courses, I was doing like little free online courses as well on Scrum and things like that, just to, I suppose, boost my CV, I suppose. And then I wrote about my workplace, skills, competencies, like things that I would do every day, but never thought of it as that it would mean something or that it was that important. But when I was writing it down, I suppose I realised that I had gained an awful lot by going to school, going back to college, implementing what I had learned into my work. And then I really took my time writing it. I got my husband in on it. I made him read it, reread it, look for grammar mistakes, find spelling mistakes. And then there was a piece about voluntary contributions to my community. I just didn't think I had anything. And I suppose sometimes we do stuff and we don't even realise that we're doing it. And
Absolutely.
then it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had actually coached my son's under 12 Gaelic football team for a full season. And when I was doing the coaching, I didn't think I was doing anything important, but in actual fact, I was implementing like planning, organisation, motivation, all those skills that I had learned from college. I was implementing them with the under 12s. So I wrote a little bit about that, and I was a key member, I suppose, a real active member on one of my other children's parents committee. I was organising fundraising, and that takes planning and organising. So I wrote about that as well, and then I submitted it. I suppose one of the key challenges with the RPL for me was giving myself credit. You know,
it doesn't come easily to us, I think.
No, absolutely not. They're sitting back and thinking like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it's, you know, just accepting how far I had come and then being able to write it down and be really proud of myself. And even though it was time consuming to fill out the RPL, I was trying to remember that you're really marketing yourself to a college and to somebody that doesn't know you. Like, the person I was writing to, he didn't know who I was from Adam. I'm just another person. I didn't have a degree. And I was trying to convince him or the college that I was going to be a good member of the class. I wasn't going to waste like a really special place in this classroom. I was going to do my best. I was going to impress. And I needed to make sure that I sold myself well on the RPL.
And also, to be fair to yourself, Lorraine, to give true value to the learning that you've gotten. So albeit it wasn't in a formal setting, but I think that process of reflection is quite difficult and it doesn't come naturally to us. And you're dead right that it is very difficult. All lead such busy lives and you do so much activity just as part of your normal day to day that it's only when you step back then and start looking at it that you start to remember, oh, well, actually I did this and then I've done that and I've done this and this. And as my mother always says, every day is a school day. So we never stop learning.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Yeah. Actually, I found the RPL, it was a great reflection. Like to take the time out to write it, reread it. And I know through writing essays and reports and stuff for college, I know some people would do mind maps and brainstorming, but I'm a writer. I like to write, read, rewrite, read, rewrite. And I could do like on my computer here, I'd have draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, draft 4. And that's how I perfect things. So there must have been 8 or 9 drafts of this RPL before I decided to upload it, that I was completely happy. So I uploaded it, and then I got an email saying that I could have an interview. And I was so happy. I was jumping around the kitchen. So I had the interview with the course coordinator, and he was just so nice on the phone. And I just got the impression or the feeling that this could actually happen for me, that, you know, maybe the stars are aligning a little bit. And then it took a few weeks, and I got an email saying I got a place on this course. And I'm not lying, I jumped around the kitchen screaming with the kids. I just couldn't believe how lucky of a person I was. Like, you know, the way people say, oh, everything happens for a reason. Like, if nobody had asked me that day in work, will you do the RPL program with the ETB? And then I met Donna, and it was like a snowball effect for me, because I had tried education before. And it just didn't work out for me. I don't know what it was, but I think sometimes when there's someone behind you encouraging you and telling you, you can do this, you're well capable.
And it has to be the right time for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it takes huge courage and determination, having maybe tried previously and said, actually, do you know what, it's not the right time for me, to then get back to the point where you say, okay, I'm going to give this another go now. I've evolved, I've grown as a person, things are a little bit different, and you have somebody there in your corner to support you through the process.
Absolutely.
And give you that encouragement.
Yeah. And I have to say as well, I have a great family here, and my kids and my husband are great with me. Like, they're very patient when I have coursework to do or whatever. They're really good, and they know how important it is for me and for my own. I think it's self-pride, or like, not only do I want to pass the course, I want a 1-1. And I'm very, very determined that I will only prove to myself, I want to prove to Donna, and I want to prove to the course coordinator who took a shot that it was worth it. I can do it, definitely.
And you're working hard at it with the full support network behind you, and to give it your best. I'm truly blessed. I really am truly blessed. I would, if anybody was thinking about using an RPL, I would, first of all, I'd highly recommend it. But secondly, I'd say take your time when you're filling the form out. Don't rush it. Like, really, really analyze your skills, your competencies, what you do on a daily basis, because you are selling yourself to somebody who's never met you. And so you need to take your time, and you need to make sure that you're very, very happy with it before you send it off. Yeah, and I think that that's really good guidance to give to anybody that is thinking about it, because there is a process within it, and you do have to step back and look at everything that you're after doing over the last period of time, and where it fits towards the course or the learning in the course that you're looking to apply for. But it's about doing research into the course as well, and seeing how your experiences map towards the course itself. So where's the correlation between the two? Yeah, absolutely. Using the people that are there for you, link in with the course leaders, link in with the supports within the college, and get the guidance that will help you to put your best self across in the application. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Aisling. Well, Lorraine, it's been really lovely to talk to you this morning, and we really appreciate you sharing your story. And I know we're at a particularly busy point in the semester, so we wish you the very best of luck for the remainder of the course, and we look forward to seeing you at graduations come October. Thanks, Aisling. Take care, Lorraine. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Hello and welcome to this session on recognition of prior learning. My name is Claire Walsh. I am the RPL project lead for the Institute of Technology, Carlow. So this session is about trying to describe the key processes for recognition of prior learning. So if you're a candidate applying for recognition of prior learning, there are 4 key stages that you can expect to experience as part of that process. So these are outlined and described on the screen here. So they are deemed to be kind of 4 key stages, and there can be elements within, before or after these 4 key stages. But ultimately, it is agreed that there are 4 key stages to an RPL process. So let's describe these 4. So the first phase of validation is what we call identification of learning. So this is a really important stage and as a first stage. So it really is the identification through dialogue of the learning of an individual. So it's having those conversations with an RPL advisor within an institution that helps you to identify the learning that has happened, whether that's formal, non-formal, or experiential learning. So that's the first stage. The second stage of this of a typical RPL process is documentation, and again, this stage is really about making visible the individual learner's learning, if you like. So what we need to see here then is being able to document that learning, and that can be through various different mechanisms. So it could be a portfolio, it could be an essay. It depends on the institution itself, and it also depends on the discipline that you're applying for the RPL within. So that's really the second stage of the RPL process. The third stage of the process is really about the documentation being assessed. And that assessment is done by an RPL assessor within an institution. And that assessment then is really assessing the evidence that's provided against the learning outcomes of the program or qualification you're seeking that recognition of prior learning. And then finally, the fourth stage is about certification. So it's certifying and making official the results of that assessment. So being granted entry, for example, where maybe the RPL is about granting entry to a program, and maybe it's module exemption, advanced entry, for example. So again, certifying the results of the assessment. So that's the overall kind of 4 key stages of validation of RPL and the 4 stages of the processes. The next slide, this slide just documents in a bit more detail some of those 4 key stages, and these can be maybe common approaches that you might see in institutions. So what we see here is a 12-stage process that really encompasses those 4 key stages that we looked at earlier. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 is about identifying that learning that we talked about earlier. So the identification through dialogue of the learning of the individual. So that could be about creating awareness, creating an application, preparing, and some pre-screening, and then preparing the candidates. So identifying those key aspects of the learning. If we look then at 6, it's collecting evidence with an RPL advisor. So collecting all those various different pieces of evidence to support the application. So like that could be in the form of some formal learning, non-formal learning activities, and also experiential learning. So maybe examples of volunteer work, for example. So all of that is evidenced and collected, and that's often done with the support of an RPL advisor. Then part 7 is conducting the assessment. So again, that formal assessment of the learning outcomes. So has the documentation provided enough evidence to be granted the RPL that is being requested? 8, 9, and 10 then are stages of that assessment. So feedback, any remediation or reassessment that might need to occur, moderation of the work that's been undertaken, and then finally, of our 4-stage process that we spoke about earlier, then we have that certification, so the results of the assessment, and then any post-RPL support that needs to happen. So that is a more detailed examination of some of those processes that a learner could expect to see when making an RPL application. So thank you for engaging in this session.